Hi, thanks for watching AquariumTech today. Today I was going to do a little fish diet 101 or fish foods 101 rather, a general fish food video. I think it's a topic, I haven't really touched on. I have got a couple questions here and there on it, and I really think it's a big issue that rarely gets touched on in aquatics, and I don't know why. Because with other pets, this is a huge issue, and I know because I have a lot of cats. I do the cat rescue thing or help out with it, and I know how that whole thing goes. And for other pets, it's just so important. It's one of the major topics people discuss and stuff like that. So go ahead and touch on a general fish food video. I'll go ahead and start by saying, read the label. That's always the best thing you can ever do for yourself, or really your fish, is read the label to see what's in there. The stuff you find at your big, fish store, like Petco and PetSmart and stuff like that. This, tends really not to be the best of quality. There are a couple big brands out there, and really this is even the same for most local fish stores. But sometimes they'll have some of the smaller brands and stuff that might be okay. And we'll go ahead and go over the brands. But first I'd like to talk about some of the stuff you find on the label. First we'll go over the stuff that usually comes in the percentages. And those that's at least the first few are some of the are very important that you should look at. Like, and this will be on pretty much every single food. As you see, I have a number of foods out here. And I have some of the foods that I use, and I have I think guaranteed analysis on that, but it's over here on my computer. So, anyways, like for instance, usually the first thing is going to be protein. All right. Now, fish to fish, that's going to depend what is appropriate, but generally speaking. Assuming that, for instance, like if you have a cichlid, you'd like to get something that's made for cichlids, or at least have the pellet the right size for the cichlid, because every fish has a different diet. Not all fish eat the same thing. That sounds obvious, but most people, like in practice, if you know what I mean, this does not get realized. So, anyways, usually the higher the protein, the better. And that's why you'll see it'll say protein. It'll say minimum crude protein, and then I'll give you a percent. And like I said, I can't really give you an average because it's going to vary from food to food. And like I said, even though it does usually generally indicate a better food, this is not to say that means that food's better. And then you'll also have minimum crude fat, and generally speaking, the higher the crude fat, the better. Same case as the protein. And then you have max crude fiber. And you know what? Even an easy way to go over when you're looking at the guaranteed analysis is anything that says min, you want to be high. Anything that goes by max, you want to be low. That's just generally speaking. Now there is, kind of, like moderation is key kind of thing going on here. But that's just generally speaking here. So, but yeah, you'll see protein, fat, fiber, moisture, and ash. Those are the big ones. And you really don't want any ash in there. It's okay to have a little bit of moisture, and that's going to vary from food to food. And fiber, you usually want a low amount of it, if any. And of course, this always varies from fish to fish. Now, what's really important and is kind of universal is when you go down and look at the label, or I'm sorry, the ingredients on the label. For instance, if your label has stuff like, okay, this is really crappy food, by the way. I'll get into brands here in a second. This is just your general crap you find at the store. Okay, and with fish, they require a very high protein diet. Most fish, and this is a cichlid formula right here. They eat other fish, for God's sakes. And the first ingredient is wheat flour. Wheat flour. That's not even meat. And the first ingredient, and usually it goes by the most important ingredient or the most prevalent ingredient in the food when you're reading the label. So usually like the first 3 to 5 are your most important ingredients. And if you look on here, we got wheat flour, fish meal. It's not even a whole fish meal, which probably means there might even be like bones or scales or some nasty ass shit in there. And I know this food's nasty because I've cleaned filters with this food from people feeding this food. So, and then you got soybean meal, rice bran, gluten meal. I mean, there's like hard. I mean, I'm speechless. Just read the label. Okay, I mean this is common sense stuff here. Okay, so that's very important. So, anyways, we'll go ahead and get into brands since I've already started here. And basically, here's one of your big fish food brands. This is cichlid formula I've got here. And as you can see, I was just reading the ingredients off of there, and meat is the second. It doesn't even come to the second ingredient, and it's the only thing within the first line of ingredients on here. And there's like 7 in the first line, and then it just goes into like random ass shit like L-ascrosabol 2 polyphosphate. Yeah, see, that's not needed for fish. Okay, I'm just saying, and this is just horrible food. I mean, 35% protein for a cichlid. That's a little low, not by much. Crude fat, 3%, that's pretty low. So, this, I mean, you want to stay away from this big brand stuff. And even if it does show up good on that, you know, read the ingredients again. Okay, sorry there, folks. I actually, you know, I just had JBJ call me, you know. Saw my last video. I'm still working on getting this JBJ thing through. So anyways, where were we? I think we were, I was just about to talk about some of the ingredient and guaranteed analysis stipulations. Alright, even if it looks good, like sometimes it might look like meat is the first ingredient, the protein's decent and stuff like that. Sometimes the best way to explain it is being able to read between the lines. All right, I mean, this is kind of a layman's term thing. I hate to kind of go this route, but really, it's just kind of judging. You know, I hate to say this. Usually, I'm a person that goes by facts and what's actually happening, but you know, sometimes that's what you have to do, because sometimes even if it looks good, you know, it just doesn't either sit well with the fish, or they just don't use the best of ingredients. It's the best way to put it. So, but anyway, see, like here's another one. This is Wardley's. Wardley's, they're another big fish store brand. Would not go with them. Now, actually, Hickory over here. I've actually looked at their frozen food, Hickory, that makes this formula. Hickory's, or Hikari, they are not that bad. They're not completely horrible, but you know, they still are, especially this particular food, they still are a big fish store brand. And as you can see here, or I guess you can't see, but on this Wardley's, this is Cory food here. It's got shrimp meal for the first ingredient, ground wheat, fish meal, and animal fats. See, so far that looks okay, but it's still not like wholemeal and stuff like that. And looking at the guaranteed analysis, I mean, it's only got 30% crude protein, and they're supposed to be shrimp pellets. If I recall, shrimp's pretty high in protein, so another one done. Now, one of the bigger kind of fish, there's actually a couple brands that you know are kind of bigger that I would kind of suggest. Is this omega-1 stuff. I've compared it thoroughly, label-wise, compared to a lot of other foods, and they are amazing compared to most other big fish store brands. And so is this Spectrum stuff. They sell this Spectrum. It comes in these little blue jars at most fish stores, and they have them for all kinds of stuff. As you can see, I have Cory. This is the omega-1 stuff. I have Cory food here. Really, these are just shrimp pellets, so any fish that wants shrimp pellets can have them. And here's like some omega-1. These are just regular fish flakes here. And See here, let's just compare the Cory foods here. The minimum crude protein in the omega-1 Cory food is 38%. In this Wardley's, it's only 30%. That's actually a huge difference. And then fat, this only has 3% crude fat. This has 8% crude fat. That is crazy. And usually you'll end up only spending the same amount between these foods. And this food is just like 10 times better. And let's look at the ingredients here again. Like I said, the first ingredient on the Wardley's is shrimp meal. The first one on the Omega is whole shrimp. Whole shrimp is not even shrimp meal. That is amazing bang for your buck for this stuff. This is very good fish food for stuff you might be able to find in a big fish store. I don't think I need to go further. I mean, it just goes to whole salmon, cod, whole herring. Need I continue? Ridiculous. Omega-1 is such a good deal for what you get. It's better than any of that Tetra crap that you get. And usually, I mean, fish, you know, fish. It's a pretty constant thing across the board when you go to brands. So, anyways, and then of course, it's pretty much the same case for this Spectrum stuff. Like for instance, this is just like the regular formula. For Spectrum, they're regular. It's good for for a number of fish, and it goes whole Antarctic krill meal, whole herring meal, and the crude protein is 38%, and the crude fat is 7%. So as you can see, it still blows. I mean, most of the other fish food stuff out of the water, you know, and it's up on par with this omega-1 stuff. So. But you also, another thing is you need to make sure you get the right formula for your fish. I know a lot of people, they just get flakes and they might have like Cory's. Now Cory's will eat flakes, and they have Plecos, and Plecos will eat flakes too. But, you know, to me it's all about keeping the fish happy. It's not just about keeping the fish, it's about keeping them happy. So, you know, for Plecos, I know they like they like wafers and stuff, so this brand also makes wafers. To me, it's about making them happy, and for you, it should be about making them happy. Remember, this is life. This is life in your hands. They depend on you for everything. So, you know, take some responsibility. Like as you can see, I got beta food here, separate beta food. So, keep that. Oh, and I forgot this Aquarium. This Aquarium, this is goldfish food. I don't even know why I still have this. This is pretty much in the same bucket as these other big fish brands. And just to clarify again, this omega-1 stuff and the Spectrum food that I have here, they are big fish brands, but as you saw from what I read from the labels, it's quite good for, you know, off-the-shelf stuff. And see, I can read here again on this Aquarium label just to once again prove my point. The first ingredient in this goldfish food is whole fish meal. That's actually not that bad. Let's see, then it goes to soybean meal, whole wheat flour, corn gluten meal. Yeah, that stuff's bad. Another thing to mention is too, usually the worse the fish food, the worse side effects it has on your tank. Like this Wardley stuff, I've seen this do bad stuff to tanks because a lot of times Cory's don't actually like this, but it's a big thing. It's one of the big brands, and a lot of people feed their Cory's this, and this stuff straight up deteriorates and will, oh my god, it just destroys your tank water. So, you know, this isn't like a fish feeding video, but this is, you know, just a dietary video. I can do a different video on feeding, but, you know, just so you know, usually the worse the fish food for the fish, the worse it is for the water. Make sense? So, anyways, so that's just some knowledge on some off-the-shelf stuff.